Welcome, everyone. I'd like to share some client stories. And there was one client who came to me. She wanted to explore why she was suffering from migraine. And usually, when there are physical symptoms, it could be connected to some psychosomatic aspects. So she already had the impression it could go into that direction. And so we started with the hypnosis, and the very first thing I usually do is to focus on the part that causes these kind of symptoms. So in her case, that causes the migraine. And while we were focusing on the part and were asking it what its role was, it was kind of responding that its role is more or less to share the aspect of her that is frightened. So it was like the fear and the terror that she experienced was condensed into that part. So the sensations of terror, feeling alone, helpless, and somehow stuck. So we wanted to find out where this part was actually coming from. So I was regressing her back, and in the very first scene, she saw herself as a small girl. And as that small girl outside, around 5 years old, it was already getting dark, and she had a friend, and the friend wanted to go home but was too scared. So she had to bring up the courage and accompany him home. So she went home to his place, but then she had to return all by herself. And she was actually also very scared, but she had to suppress that, and she had to take care of him and sort of protect him, and had to sort of neglect her own needs somehow, her own sense of safety. Then we went to a second scene because it's usually kind of an accumulation of similar feelings that are creating something in our life. And within the second scene, she was a 3 or 4 year old girl, and she had a small brother who was constantly following her. She was a bit annoyed, and she just wanted to have her alone time, and she just pushed him, but he fell into the pond and was lying there and head down, and she was really sort of panicking inside, very afraid. She thought she might have killed him. So she was screaming for help, and the grandfather came and they pulled him out. So nothing happened to the boy, but she could also not share what really happened because she was afraid of punishment. So she had to stuck it into her own self again. And there was also this kind of guilt boiling underneath, and the fear of punishment and not being able to open up and rely on others. Next scene that came up, so next scene in the row, was that she saw her father playing around with guns very often. So he was more or less showing the guns, and she was quite afraid of it because she picked up the fear from her mom. And so this was a moment where she also had to just suppress all the terror, all the fear inside. And the last scene was one where she was also small, but she was observing her parents fighting. And she was really scared for her mom, but couldn't do anything. But she felt that she actually needed to protect her mom. So she took on this kind of protective role also in her family. At least she was trying to. But of course, as a tiny girl, it's not possible. She can't do that. So it's like the inner overwhelm is taking over. And then when we had all those scenes, we were looking at sort of like what was stringing them together, what was tying them together. And all of them had the same feelings of overwhelm, of helplessness, of terror, of fear, and also the belief that I have to sort of protect others and I can't take care of myself. I'm not safe inside myself. So I have to stuff everything inside. And in the end, all the unresolved things in her head, they were just really causing the migraine. And she mentioned after the session that the migraine had lessened. So the symptoms were less because she was going to what was causing it on a psychological level. And I find this quite impressive because just going inside and exploring what the symptoms actually have to say already gives you such a huge hint and allows you to reevaluate everything that you've experienced and put it into sort of relation again. Now, being an adult, of course, she can let go of this kind of guilt and she can let go of the fear and everything because she now knows how to protect herself and how to make sure that she's not ending up in similar kind of situations. But yes, very often these kind of past remnants, they are messing with us and sometimes even causing physical symptoms. I thought it's just really interesting to hear that and get an idea of what can lie underneath. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to share a lot more stories in the upcoming weeks, I guess. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Take good care and goodbye for now.